So, welcome back from the break. We are starting with a panel discussion, and we are asking, should we innovate or should we die, or how to ensure growth in the domain business, in the domain market. So I have panelists here, 3 of you. Come on stage, pick a chair. Hello, welcome to Tallinn.
Hello.
No Estonians in this panel. But starting from my left hand, we have Niks from Latvia. You are from Sigmanet. What is Sigmanet? What do you do?
Sigmanet is mainly a hosting company, but we also do a lot of domain registrations. We were the first company in Latvia to do hosting, and at this point we both mainly act as a hosting company and a registrar.
Okay, then we have Klaudijus from Hostinger from Lithuania.
Yes, so very similarly, primarily we used to be more of a hosting company back in a day, but with growth and everything, I think we name ourselves more of online presence providers, including hosting, domains, mails, VPS, now like web app, apps, Horizon and stuff like that. So yeah, quite broad range of products that we offer to our clients.
And the last in our line is LG from IQ Global from Sweden. What is IQ Global?
IQ is a software as a service company that builds services that makes the everyday life of registries and registrars of domain names easier. So we help them monitor the domain names that they provide for malicious behavior, DNS abuse, phishing, malware, spam, such. And we also provide several other services that makes it easier to be a top-level domain name or a domain name registrar.
You're doing this globally or for the Nordic market, Swedish?
So IQ is a global company serving about 260 million domain names, so about 2/3 of the internet today. And I have a background working for the Swedish top-level domain name.se, as well as I'm the founder and curator of Nordic Domain Days, a sister conference that runs yearly in Sweden.
Okay, and how is it popular?
Yeah,
we will discuss the question of are domains living or dying domain names? How is it in Sweden?
So Nordic Domain Days is thriving. We gather about 400 people per event now, and I think that the Swedish top-level domain name, while a little bit bigger than the Baltic siblings, I would say is facing the similar challenges in terms of growth.
Yeah, we saw the graph. I think Heikki, you showed the graph that were going down, right? Indicating that we have problems. And when preparing for this, I think during our meeting, as you were not there, someone said that basically no one under the age of 30 or 40 even thinks of registering a domain name. So this is maybe viewed as a thing of the past to have your own, EE, LV, or SE. Maybe start with Unix. Is there a crisis? Is there a problem? Are people not registering domain names? Is it the thing of the past for young people?
I mean, to an extent. I think that mainly most people right now don't at all use any type of websites. Most of us are down to especially young people are down to 4 apps more or less. And everything that happens, so what used to be the internet now is essentially those large platforms like Facebook or Google, everything. And essentially we get a curated internet. And so for young people, it makes, what we used to think as websites, I think young people now just think of their Instagram profile or their Facebook profile. When it comes to marketing and in every way of establishing your online presence as well, I think that it does make way more sense to present yourself within those social networks. So in that sense, I think so that it does seem way less important and relevant to register a domain than ever because there's alternatives that are way more used. But I don't think that that makes too much sense, especially now with the rise of scams on every level. I think more and more people are super suspicious of all types of pages that look very real, of shops or whatever. So in that sense, it feels to me at least that it would be smart to kind of come back to domains because right now a .com domain is something that I think is not as trustworthy as it used to be because anybody can have a scam domain on those. Whereas in like the local domains like .lv, .ee, .lt and smaller country domains, I think at this point, at least in my mind, is almost more trustworthy because there is a bit more control and oversight on scams and all those things within those domains. So in that sense, a .lv domain at this point to me is more trustworthy than a .com domain, which wasn't the case just 10 years ago, I think.
So other guys, I mean, I understand the new domains, whatever those are, dot online or the long ones, you know. I mean, this seems exciting. .com, I understand. You know, I will start an international business. Of course, I will do a .com. The smaller ones, the national ones, yeah. I mean, as a user, it gets complicated to me. What do you think?
I do agree, and that it's complicated if you look at the global perspective. However, still most companies that are started, they start locally, or they have at least some kind of sense of belonging. So I would say that most companies starts local. They start in their own country. They have a reason to have their local CCTLD registered. And while a .com might seem old and boring to some of the younger crowd, I do think that it's a little bit like the trademark registration of the past, to have if you want to start a business, having the name be available to you in your local CCTLD and on the .com is good hygiene. Not always a must, but it's a good hygiene.
So Klaudijus, you see a problem?
I don't see too many problems. I mean, I would like maybe to switch a little bit more to practical side of a business, because we as a global Rava registrar, we are quite small here in Estonia and Latvia. Maybe we are a bit bigger in Lithuania, but we act globally. So we gather a lot of data, and of course, when we get to a scale like we are at like 7.5 million domains now, we need to become creative how to grow. And it really correlates to the existing problems that you just talked about, the social media and stuff like that. The natural websites become less important. So actually in these social media platforms which provide like free subdomains or link trees and whatnot, you know, we see potential for growth, you know, and here, you know, we have to, when both registries and registrars become creative, how to engage with those users and teach them about the value of the domain, because the domain itself is very unique, you know, and with very simple tools you can, you know, just forward the domain to the same social media page, but you will have a presence on the zone already, you know, protected. So I think there is, in all the situations, there is a lot of potential, you know, but I think it's all about finding the ways together, both from registrars and registries perspective, how to reach those clients, you know. And as for generic TLDs, you know, there is a new round coming up, so I think some of the names will find their niche like we did now, you know, some of them will not, you know, but I think it's just good for the industry, good for finding out new creative domain names and stuff like that, so I think it's only a positive. And for growth, there is plenty of ways to grow, you know, but yeah, we just need to work on that together, you know.
I want to hitch on to something that Nick said with social media and domain names. I do believe that we are seeing a kind of the start of a mental shift when it comes to your personality online and how you represent yourself online, if that is important to you for your livelihood. And more of the younger generations are becoming more critical against why social media works for the company that offers them. So, but like if Facebook or Meta or Google would not have the revenue of selling the data that they collect from their users, they wouldn't exist. And like the younger generations are slowly but surely understanding that in this scenario, they are not a user, they're the product. And I think that is what's going to redirect some of the infrastructure needed to have a business online back towards websites. And I think one of the vehicles for this is that with the increasing prevalence of AI, using AI instead of Google, using different types of large language models, the information that users get from GPT-5 or from Claude Sonnet 4.5, it's like the model doesn't contain that information. It has been trained on a certain set of information, but it always needs to reach out to gather information to answer the questions being provided or the questions being asked. For the information to be available, it needs to be out there. And the best possible way for it to be out there is websites, because locked down behind logins on Facebook or social media doesn't work. So websites are going to be the primary source of information for AI to answer questions in the future. And I think that's, you see the cybersecurity industry right now is like companies are scrambling to pay people to block AI from scraping their sites.
Yeah.
While in 1 year, I would say that people will be paying to make sure that their information is readily available to AI. Because if you're not, then you won't be presented in answers from AI to users. So I think that the hamster wheel is spinning here. We're in for a ride.
Guys, you want to jump in next?
Yeah, on that, like I think not an AI part per se, but like on the social media part, where like I think that one of the things that also people are realizing, everyone's realizing this, is how little control people actually have over their profiles. Because like at this point, if someone, like let's say someone hates you personally, you did something to them personally, they can, like, with enough effort, within a few days, they can make sure that your social media presence is now locked off, right? So it's banned for whatever malicious things that might be, like, you might be reported on. And at that point, you realize that, like, to regain that presence, if you're a small creator, this is what a lot of small creators are talking about now. If you're a small creator, you might get banned, and your appeal might not be looked at for 3 months. So within those 3 months, you lose all of your audience, you lose all of your media presence, and after it's reinstated, and they go, oh, sorry, this was like a malicious report on you, at that point, like within this modern, fast-paced world, it's going to go away completely. So I think that's another thing that's like a massive selling point, is having your own website does mean that you control what's there and what's not there. And currently, especially with the political climate that we have, or like even big media companies and their leaders do align with one or the other political force, essentially that means that pretty much always there's a significant part of people who, let's say, even not necessarily politically, but who are just involved in any way with politics, are in a very precarious situation where like a change of leadership and a Facebook owner's new friend might decide that all of this is now not good, which if you have your own website, if you have your own domain, in that sense that you can always be sure that you can definitely post on there whatever you want, as long as it's legal, everything, nobody's gonna touch your website or your content at all.
I agree, but how many people out of 100, when you go on the street, how many actually understand that? How many know that? I think this is probably not widely known. And when you said that we can perceive that the small, country domains, .es and .ls are more secure because there is more scrutiny, maybe, I think this will be news for almost everyone, right? Except for maybe people in this audience. So I think there is a big knowledge gap there. Do you agree? Or should we do campaigns, or what, should someone do something?
Yeah, I think there will always be a knowledge gap because, maybe for my grandmother, she doesn't need a domain name, but for any younger individual, one way or another, we will understand about it. And, but, I think there is as you mentioned, campaigns. Yeah, of course, I think some of the registries go to universities, to schools, and teach them how to build a website, so it's all good. But I think, registrars, as well, they do a lot they put marketing activities, influencer marketing and stuff like that, So basically all marketing channels are covered by one or we have had, you know, and that's and because this is Baltic domain days and we talk about domains, so I think that's a huge potential for collaborations between registries. So, and I was happy to see that .ee especially started co-marketing agreements, you know, because if you will not invest into pushing that knowledge out, you know, you will not get any growth, you know, you will remain at the baseline, you know, expecting people to come, but it will not happen, you know. And I think you have to be proactive, get out there, you know, in various channels and educate students and children or whatever about it and invest into that and expect the payback in longer time, not an immediate payback, you know, so in a few years, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the role of the CCTLDs in the world are often, especially like the upstanding ones, the ones that work with their local certs, the ones that are really, that act in good faith in the community. They represent somewhat the internet's resiliency of the country. They are prevalent in company names, they are prevalent in all around in society. So they do get a fair amount of marketing and campaigning for free. I think when it comes to staying there and not dying, so innovating or dying, is making sure that they stay this bastion of security and resiliency by working in the internet community to adopt good policies and good usage of the domain names, making sure that they are not overly abused and used for malicious behavior, and making sure that their top-level domain name is seen as a good way of communicating in your country.
I just checked the other day, the Pirate Bay is still up. And that, to me, sort of speaks about the original idea of the internet, that, you know, it's very decentralized, and you can find ways to keep services up, even domain names up. I think there is, like, this is a testimony to the strength of the internet, that it's still running, it's still there. So in that sense, I agree. To the audience, we have a QR here. You can ask questions through Mentimeter, and also the microphone is still going around, so raise hands and let's participate. Is it too, like, can there be innovation? Can the process of registering a domain for not a specialist, for a regular person, maybe a person starting a small company, or a person just wanting to have their own name domain, can it be made easier? Is it still like too Linux?
Well, I think that quite a bit of innovation has gone into simplifying the process of registering a domain name. When I started working at a registrar the first time, you had to fax the registration, and then later on you sent a standard formatted email that was then read by a Perl script back in Sweden. So it's definitely gotten easier since then. And I think that there's a lot more to do, and I think it comes down to seeing the new legislation that comes online from the European Union and from the nations in Europe. I think that solutions such as the one that .ee has had for a long time with their EID, and having easier ways of making sure that you know that who you're talking to, is one of the key components of making registering domain names easier. If you can securely identify who is buying the domain name, you can more or less give it to them without taking payment first, and you can have it online in seconds, and then figure out all of the bureaucracy. There's also the potential of enabling the registration of domain names using chat-like components like AI that is doing so many other things today. So there's definitely innovations to be had. However, I don't think that the backbone of that comes from the registry, but everything else comes from the registrars and the providers making domain names available to internet users.
Claudius, next, yeah.
Yeah, on that, like, I don't think that it's not hard to register a domain at this point, really.
No, it's really not.
Because that's the thing, though, right? And like essentially, like realistically, most people will go to a registrar and they'll just tell them, "I need this domain. Here's my data. Let's do a contract. Let's get a domain." And it's simpler than making an account on a social media, almost, or like as hard as that. I don't think it's that hard. I don't think it's the issue of like technical knowledge. Maybe there could be some better communication on how simple it really is, because I assume there's a certain amount of people who don't understand that it really is just register and you have a domain within a day it works. Some people might assume that you have to go through some things, maybe like, I don't know, like people don't know how domains work, they don't know how they're registered, so it would make sense that, I don't think it's that hard, but I also think that there's not immediate use for them, so I think what honestly could be marketed better even from like the domain, like registry side, is how easy it is to have an online presence once the domain's there. Like how easy it is to make, like if you need a website without any login credentials and just information about my company, even that, you can register a domain, get a few pictures, get a text, get design, and you can have all of that within a day or like 1 weekend of effort, then your company has a nice, very professional looking, basically a visit card. And I think it's how easy it is, also like how easy it is to get emails with, like as a hosting company, we do see this where people are like, they ask first for a domain, they're like, we'd like emails with this domain, how hard is this? And then when we have them emails ready within a day, I think a certain amount of people are surprised that it's that quick, that it's just like, oh, you just make the emails and they work. And you're like, yeah, that's how it works. And I also know that, like, I know we've had clients who came over from like bigger email providers like Gmail, and there it is a lot more struggle, because then you have to be the one between the domain and the hosting provider, and then you have to do things that are a bit technical. And I think, I think it's just as hosting companies, also like registrars, we could inform, I don't know how exactly, but to give the information out of how easy it really is to have a nice online presence that doesn't take that much effort, doesn't take any coding skills at this point as well. And as long as you don't need logins or payments, the security doesn't matter. It's just information in the website.
Yeah.
And getting back, let's say, to the easiness of registration, you know, for sure, as everyone mentioned, it's not that difficult, and I think it's getting more and more difficult to register, because NIS2 is coming up, and just because I see not only Baltic states registries, and I see .de there, .me, so I want to just say, from a point of view of global registrar, I see that every registry treats certain rules differently, you know. And sometimes what I lack is, in terms of registrations and everything, like a global or standards, like maybe ICANN has for GTLDs, you know, which is like 90-something odd% standardized, maybe even more. And, you know, each registry in the Europe or even in the world decides on certain nuances on EPP or whatever, you know, so it makes, let's say, registrar's life harder to make it easy for the customers to register a domain. So, and with all the verifications coming into place, I think there should be a bit more maybe discussions between center, ICANN, I don't know, how to standardize the process a little bit more, and what is enough to verify, because, you know, one say that email might be enough to be verified for registrations. The others might want to verify phone numbers as well, which means that we have to support all the countries' phone numbers, you know, and then verify based on their rules. So yeah, it's a bit tricky question, but yeah, registrations are easier, but they might become a bit more difficult in the future, I think.
On that point, what I think is, like, as well, like, we don't offer, like, we're not going to name the country specifically, but there are countries within Europe that we just don't offer their domains because it's just such a struggle to register. I know domains. I've worked in this industry for a while, and I recently spent 2 days just getting 2 days to register a single country domain, and I was like, why is this so hard? And like it was an incredibly like bureaucratic process. We did, like,
it was very secure.
I mean, I don't even think that, to be honest. That's the thing, though. It was just confusing what information they need, what information fits. Is this good enough, like as a company registration number? They're like, well, what about an address within our country? I'm like, but you didn't say you need it. Okay. And then we ended up, like, the client's obviously annoyed because we keep asking for more information. Because that's the thing, though, like, it's often even not clear what will I need to register a domain. And once you start getting there, by the way, we need this too. And you're like...
And funny story, if it's not in Europe, I think we had in South America where the registry validates postcodes, of registrants, and validation doesn't go through because the registry himself, they did not update the new addresses in their system, because they built more buildings, so there's more postcodes and stuff like that. So we get to work with that from time to time, So it's.
Let's see. We have a very knowledgeable audience here. Please raise hands who have have a domain with their own, like your own name, like your own last name or something. Wow. Okay, now raise your hands who has a domain connected to like a hobby or something that's not the company you work for. I think that's more than, if we go out on the street. Raise hands who have
Those are the only people raising.
Name. Yeah, it's like, we have to lock these people here and then go out the street. Then I think like from 100 I would say we get 0 hands. I don't know. I don't know what's your experience.
No, but I think this is proof that like these people are connected, sure, but like that's proof that like if you want to, it's easy, and if you know about it, then you'll do it. It's just a lack of knowledge in some sense.
Can I humor myself a little bit?
Yeah.
How many in the room has more than 25 domain names?
Damn.
Yeah,
there you go.
Around.
Even I have a few like parked. Because, you wake up in the morning and, I just had this wonderful idea, it's a good domain. Oh, it's free. I'll just register it. Yep. And then I'm paying like whatever the little money is, and I don't know what to do with them. But at the same time, they are so good. I will not let them go.
But see the wonderful people that you are financing in doing this.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And since I'm getting paid for this job, I will get some of my money back from
circular economy.
From these people. But anyway, innovation of services. So, I mean, the old logic goes, I wake up, I think, I should have a domain with my name. Then I will go to, I saw my friend from zone.ee, I will go to his company, I will register the domain, super easy, no problem, done it many times. And then I'm faced with, now what? Should I run email here? Should I run a web page here? It's not that difficult to set them up, but it's more difficult, for sure. And then comes the most difficult part, is like, but this is not 1994. Like, should I have a homepage saying, like, hi, I'm Henrik, this is my email? But no, of course no, right? I don't want to have a simple, like, with a gray background and little animated GIFs with people building, or, remember the ones. Like, no, I don't want to have that, right? So what the question for me as a customer becomes, what should I put there? Why do I have it if I don't want to give up my Gmail because it's connected to everything I do? Like, I would have to go and change 500 logins, which I'm clearly not going to do, right? So now I have this fancy domain, and I have 0 ideas what to do with it. I mean, is this normal? Do you see it with other people?
Yeah, so I think we call it internally attachment of a domain name, because I was happy to see that registries on stage started showing more data on retention, but of course it's all like blended, and there is a lot of layers on retention actually, and the most important is always first-year retention, which I believe registries should focus on. And what we see is that within even the first month, if a domain gets attached, it has like 3 times more likely scenario to be renewed, and that's why just after domain registration, we of course suggest customers to buy one or another service, but also we provide a lot of free solutions to the customers, including domain forwarding. They can forward subdomains to multiple social media pages, and even now we give a mailbox free of charge for a year, and it's super one-click setup basically. And also We invest even giving an opportunity to create a random one-pager template, like a link in bio kind of thing. And so I think that's where, you know, registrars and hosting companies have to do some work and investment into teaching how easy it is to build a website, because nowadays we can even build a web app with 2 sentences basically, and in a minute, you know, so it's that easy. So I think, yeah, giving a taste, an easy taste to the clients, not necessarily committing to buying it, is a good way to just show the value that certain things could bring, and how professional it looks like from their potential customers' perspective, you know. And always just say a simple example: if you buy your own domain name, like own surname domain name, you just forward it to social media or LinkedIn page, and that's it. And it's a great example of usage and attachment, you know.
Or maybe our AI will vibe code you, you know, your first web page too.
We do that as well.
Yeah, like
Yeah, so I definitely think that retention in the first year and attachment is really, really important. And I think I think another part of it is what you talked about, connecting your domain name to different things, to email, making it work. There are a lot of services out there today that support having your own domain name or a subdomain name.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to make sure that it's easy for users to connect their domain name to more and more things, because if they connect it to one thing, like social media and email, they're pretty attached. But if they also connect it to their blog that is hosted on WordPress.com, if they connect it to a bunch of other services out there that support having custom domains, then it's the renewal rate of that domain name shoots through the roof. There's a quite nifty technical project that I know that one of my good friends from DNIC works a lot on, which is called Domain Connect. Which is like a technical solution to making it easier for customers to connect their domain names to different things. So if anyone in the audience or is interested in that, DNIC, Pavel at DNIC is the one to talk to. But I think getting domain names connected to services is how we get them to stay around and keep their domain names and keep them active.
I've started sort of thinking about the domain name lately as, you know, when we got these food delivery services. In Estonia, we have Bolt and Wolt. I don't know what you have in Sweden, probably something else, whatever.
Uber and Bolt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Uber Eats also. So they gave birth to something called, you know, restaurantless kitchens, or blind kitchens, I think they are called.
Yeah.
So I would also almost like to have like a blind domain name to my name. So the thinking goes, everything I do, everything I own is in Gmail. And the other bit is in Facebook with WhatsApp and everything. So, and I think you said, they can just wake up one day and close it. And I have no one to talk to. I have no one to complain to. And this, like, sometimes keeps me up at night. It's like, Jesus, everything is in Gmail. And if that goes, I'm dead. Like, I don't exist, right? And then I'm thinking, but maybe if I have my own .ee, then if something happens, I can go to Heikki and say, you know, I will present my passport to him and say, I'm me, give me back. You know, or the Estonian government cannot almost ever take your citizenship away from you. Like, I would have to do something unimaginably terrible. Even criminals keep their citizenship. So in that way, I could always, always, always be sure that I can keep my online presence at least somehow. And then I would maybe like to have a service there that just downloads and backs up all that thing there. And if I ever have a problem, next Monday at 9, I can go to Heikki's office and say, I'm me, I want to have my email. At least I have the archive. And to just like provide the security to that. Or I don't know, if maybe that's been solved somehow that I don't know. Or could we start thinking about domain names not as presence on the internet, but more like a guarantee or a backstop?
Well, to an extent, like I think that's something that I mean, lately, at least I've been trying, like talking to my friends. I don't know if we've put this in our marketing just yet, but it is literally that. It's the fact that, like, I think as well, like we've had clients, you said this before, where like I wouldn't switch off from my Gmail. There's like a million logins with it, all that. The people who do end up switching from Gmail, where they do end up switching everything, is once they get locked out from their account and they spend 3 months locked out of their everything. All of their, like some people, all of their work documents are on Google Drive. So once you lose that login, like some people use it to log in into other places. So at some point you lose so much.
Yes.
And once you have that experience, that's when you start thinking about, okay, this is not okay. And this is where like even hosting companies, right? As long as there's like some sort of an office or some sort of customer service that's like actual people at the other end, you can always regain that access. And that's something that like I think we could push for as well. Yeah, exactly. Is that it's in more senses than one. It's controlled by you directly rather than it's and as well like as you mentioned before about like since we are the product, the company will never treat you like a customer because you're not. They don't care about you as a customer. If you're going to take your business elsewhere, cool. Good luck with that. That's their attitude. They don't care at all. And yeah, I think that's something that would be nice to get that wider out. And I think, unfortunately, right now, the only people who do this are people who've had a bad experience. But it's, I don't know, I guess it's similar as with computer backups. Is the usually first time somebody buys an external SSD and backs it up is once their computer burns down.
Yeah.
They lose all of their pictures.
It's like one step too late.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's, and like there's definitely a way that I don't see right now, but in a way that people could wake up to this. And I think that just like over the last few years, the amount of bannings and unbannings that have happened in all the major social media platforms, everyone's realizing the problem, but maybe we could do better in showing that there is a solution. Because I think a lot of people just think, but what else am I going to do? Not use Gmail? No.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. They don't see that there potentially could be alternatives, and that's something that I think from the sense of security and your own peace of mind is something that would be very, very helpful to convince people of and slowly maybe move them over. As well as and within companies as well, something that like our clients enjoy quite a lot is just your basic backup. For your web page and your emails, somebody deleted something, somebody messed something up, blah, blah, blah. And like just the fact that you can just send us an email and we'll get your information back from backups is something that people really appreciate and something that will never happen in Gmail or Facebook or any of those. And yeah.
Yeah, just maybe one note that it's very unlikely that Google would go down, I think
That's true.
all of the other companies, us included, would have a higher slight chance of going down than Google itself, so I wouldn't be so skeptical about Gmail, but as you said, of course, customers need to be educated that, we can have the backups, we can set up now all the sorts like N8N automations in their VPS servers, and do exactly that, collect the data, forward it to another way, connect even AI and just filter it out, and there is a lot of solutions, so.
I can only agree, but I think I wouldn't be afraid of Google going down, ever. However, the one thing that I would be afraid of is, like, I don't use Gmail ever, not personally or otherwise. And the one reason for this is because in the non-paying terms and conditions for Gmail in their data retention policy, they are allowed to lose a certain number of emails per month, which today equates to something in the realm of 4 billion emails per month without having any consequences.
Do we know, do they actually lose them?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I don't believe that they lose the full quota, but like data retention in Gmail is not absolute. Like you can wake up one morning and have no emails in your inbox and there will be nothing you can do about it.
Wow.
You don't even need to lose access to your Gmail account.
I think about these things, but just to try and picture that, that's horrifying.
These guys, they offer excellent services.
Exactly.
No, I do think that there's whenever I talk about Gmail to my friends, like non-internet professionals, like the one thing that makes most people stick around with Gmail is not Google or how easy it is to set up or anything. It's the fact that there's no actual competitor to the functionality in Gmail. Specifically the website, the webmail, and the app. It does sorting, it does the plus thing where you can automatically sort emails into folders based on what they write between your name and the @ sign. There's functions there that that's not readily available in other free webmail solutions. So they win a lot on functionality. So I think that someone should build a really cool Gmail competitor.
Have you checked our mail? New webmail? Just released a few weeks ago.
Oh,
So.
I can give it a run. But no, readily available, free, and that people know about. So like there's no open source alternatives. There's very little good webmail alternatives to Gmail.
Do you think AI will change that picture? Someone already told that AI needs to be able to scrape things about me if someone asks, or my company or my project, right? It needs access, which it necessarily doesn't have if it's behind LinkedIn or Instagram login walls. But I almost can imagine that I should maybe have like a blind website for AI. It's like that's me, that's my project. If you're AI, go read this white text on white background, which it is able to do, right?
There's even files that you can add to your website that instructs AI on how to use your website.
So do you think AI and the fact that people every day treat LLMs as like a search engine, do you think this will change this domain game somehow?
I think that the relevance of websites will continue to be there, not forever, but it will continue to be there. And in Sweden, there's a big report that is released once per year called "The Swedes and the Internet," where they do interviews with something in the realm of 30 to 50,000 people. I don't remember the exact number. It's done by the foundation that also does .se. And in this year's version, which is available in English online as well, they revealed that in the younger generations, there's now was it 6 in 10 that actually use ChatGPT and chat-like alternatives as AI instead of Google, because they get more results, better results, they get the crap filtered out, they get no ads. It's just better for them.
Yeah. So questions from the audience. Maybe we should approach domains as an exclusive niche product in 10 years. No.
It's an infrastructure tool.
Yeah.
Who asked that? Okay. No?
Probably not, because I think it will remain for a while, online, and we do see the trends are changing, as LG said, towards more like chat-based experience in comparison to what we have seen in Google times, and even Google itself, I know that a lot of content creators, like affiliate pages and whatnot, are quite not happy about how Google now even started giving you summaries, You don't even need to browse through the pages and look for information itself. So I think this game is changing, but domains will be there, and then they will, for those LLMs, still you're gonna need content, and yeah, so I think it's not yet.
Next question. Handshake domains, your thoughts, good or bad? Will they die eventually or become something competing with current domains?
Yeah, that's a question, which we try to answer, and we get pitched a lot about these, and the fact that we don't offer it yet, I think tells how we prioritize it at the moment, so we don't. And I think what will be interesting to see is after the new round will be released, of course, there will be names which previously were on the handshake side, and if the owners will not be the same of the handshake and those TLD mentioned released by new icon round, it will be interesting, how we will connect Web3 to Web2, because there will be name collisions and whatnot. So I think I'm quite reserved on this topic until the new round comes in and those actually crypto TLDs will become reality on DNS zone. But now the usability of those is quite niche, And for us, just seems like it's a bit too much effort to invest into a rather niche product, you know. So, but after new round, we will see what will happen.
Yeah, I think that handshake domains is an interesting technology. There are inherent properties of these, we can call them domain names, but they're really not, that does not exist for domain names in DNS. There's things they can do that would be probably a bad idea to make domain names do. And also, like, as Klaudijus said, more or less any registry, registrar, and domain industry company are being pitched by companies that offer these technologies. And what we're seeing is that the ones that actually stay around and continue and have some kind of success, they're all connected. They've all chosen to connect to domain names and Web 2 and the more the existing internet. So what I think we will see is that the DNS will remain, domain names will continue to work, and handshake domain names, or the technology behind handshake domains, will be used to enhance our experience of the internet. Crypto wallets, different ways of transferring currency, different ways of handling things that domain names would normally not be used for.
Nix, you have thoughts? No?
I mean, quite a lot agree. Yeah, exactly. It can work, but in parallel as an extra thing. But that's as far as I think I'll go. I very much agree. Yeah.
So should email security protocols be implemented by operator for free and transparently to the customer?
I mean, we kind of do that by default, yeah. Like at some point there was a moment where we were like, oh, there's this extra thing and at some point we realized, what are we doing? Let's just implement all of these immediately to all of our clients. So I think that's something that just has to happen, especially when your competitors are Google. Like it just has to happen, where like every security thing that is not like increasing your fixed costs has to be immediately implemented. And I don't see any other way around it. Like it just has to either include it in the price if it's extra fixed costs, but it cannot be here's an email and like some security. You want some extra security? Here's some. I don't think that would go very well for the reputation of any company that provides emails.
And I was actually surprised to get that question because I didn't know that someone charges for it. You know?
I saw on Facebook today someone had an offer or a question from his mobile operator, Telia in Estonia, that, you know, the letter said basically, we know there have been loads of these scam calls lately. Would you like us to block them, and how much would you willing to be, pay for that? And I think this person canceled the contract in like 5 minutes. So I think the customer views this as the job of the service provider anyway, like it should be included in the price.
Very
If you would have asked people 10 years ago how many people would be willing to pay 10 or 15 or 20 extra krona or 1 or 2 or 3 euros per month to only be able to receive calls from people in their phone book, they would have made so much money.
So I think a few questions here. How can registries and registrars promote or educate open source solutions for an open web? Being logged into a proprietary web service like Wix or Shopify is just as bad as Facebook.
Well, when you go and you create, you register a domain in whatever end you start with the domain name or you start with creating your web shop. You pick your own providers. So your freedom to pick the provider that you want to use should be advocated for, and the story should be told. But if you pick Wix, then you can't be mad about being stuck with Wix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to, of course, to do the research and pick wisely. And but I think even that thing might be moving a little bit towards this flexibility side, because there is a lot of these web app building products like one of ours, Horizons, but also Lovable and whatnot. So we kind of give you the code, and you can later on try and store it somewhere, wherever you know, on VPS or something. So I think, yeah, so one is wise choice, research, and and in the future, I think it will become more and more flexible.
I think just as well, simply because there's so much competition in that field, like the idea that like it's just a proprietary lockdown system is just not an option anymore. Because like people, I mean, at some point we'll start recognizing that, yeah, I'd like to have my code once I'm done with you as a company, and if that, I think, but it also feels like that's just happening, right? Like there's like a lot of companies are realizing that that's something they have to offer to be competitive in the market. So I think, thankfully, that's something that we're moving towards that anyways. How could we push it? I'm not, maybe we should, but we don't, not just yet.
But it's a good question if it actually is a job for a company like yours. It's customer choice, essentially.
It is something that is becoming possible. Like in the past, these like website builders have created a website that is only available to you if you stick with your current hosting provider. That is changing with how the service is provided by competitors, but it's also changing with how easy or hard it is to build an actually good-looking website.
Yeah.
When you can, well, as long as you have a modicum of understanding of what it is that you want, and you can describe it in a one-page document, you can have it done for you for free, and then just upload it to any hosting company, and then when you want to move from them, you can download your site and move it.
All right. We in this room, we know about the issues about how domain name and services could solve them, but how can we get this info out? We are all trying, but there is still a huge knowledge gap. We kind of talked about that, but I don't think we have any solutions here on stage.
I think a lot more people know about a lot more people today know about how a website not works technically, but works theoretically. And I think that like continuing to building on that knowledge, providing, like for CCTLDs, make sure that you provide content in your language. I think most of the CCTLDs in here do. Provide content that tells your internet users how things work in layman's terms, and try to get it out there in as good a way as possible with different types of different channels. But I think it's a good role of information flow that CCTLDs are aptly a good instigator of.
Does anyone have a question they would like to ask into a microphone instead of Mentimeter? If not, then there's one more question here. Is naming of new technologies and products like AI agents, servers, handles in Web3, wallets, is this a domain name usage that should be popularized?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
So you mean like having a in the new round having an application for .agent or what?
Or maybe if I create an agent in ChatGPT, then I can give that agent a domain name, and it lives there. I don't know.
There is. So I read an RS, which is agent name services, that is supposed to address and stand for some type of quality of agents, which is, I haven't read any technical documents on it, so I don't know how it works more than the marketing spiel.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's necessary.
Yeah, and I think, it's still early days, and we see that new protocols are emerging, and of course GoDaddy's idea is one of those, but something will come up probably because, the AI world is changing every few months, and I think some sort of protocol, but not necessarily connected with domains, will appear, And theoretically, yeah, domains could become like part of this deeper infrastructure, through certain records, but currently I don't look at it that way.
I mean, I could have like henriksagent.ee or henrikswallet.ee or something like that.
Subdomain.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know,
I don't know.
it's too early to provide like a good idea, you know.
Okay.
Or maybe Henrik.wallet.
Yeah. Yeah. Or
New
maybe
round.
just henrik.ee and everything is /whatever, like /wallet /agent, and so on. Okay, now we are too far into the future, but luckily our time is up. We cannot fantasize anymore here on stage. Thanks, guys, for discussing, and have a good conference.
Oh, thank you.